I want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Badash. I want to give double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the 144,000, the rest of the elect. It's just a quick and transit lesson. I got one or two scriptures that I'm going to read, getting into the topic of being fully persuaded. All right, working out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You know, understanding why you in this truth. Understanding that through much tribulation, we're going to enter the kingdom. And how you can't endure these afflictions and tribulations unless you're fully persuaded. Unless you know 100% in your mind that this is the truth. Unless you believe on the name Yahweh Bashim Shai, and you know with certainty that those are the names. All right, you can't be double-minded. You can't be wavering in this truth, because then you will fall out. And we already know Yahweh Shai said that, you know, basically it's better that you never even came into the truth rather than being a fallout. The Most High Spirit doesn't take pleasure in those that draw back. So you got to understand how serious this thing is, man. This is not a joke. This ain't a club that you could just join in and leave at will. You know, there's going to be severe judgments for fallouts, and you know that's a fearful thing. And just like Yahweh Shai said, you got to count the cost before you even start the build. All right, so this is Romans 14:5. One man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. So what does being fully persuaded mean? Let's go into that word in the Greek. It is G4135.
Strong's G 4135. Pleiraphareo. Pleiraphareo.
Pleiraphareo. It means to bear or bring full, to make full, to cause a thing to be shown to the full, to fulfill the ministry in every part. So unless you're fully persuaded, you will not be able to bear that cross. You will not be able to fulfill all the things that Yahweh Shai requires you to do. And if you do not fulfill these things, if you do not endure onto the end, like it says, to carry through to the end, accomplish. If you don't accomplish these different things, salvation is not for you. Yahweh Shai said, he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. You're not going to be able to deal with the persecution, with the ridicule, with the shame, the humiliation that come with this truth. All right, because maybe you like a certain part of the truth. Maybe you like when you see brothers cursing out the so-called white man. We know that a lot of you Israelites, you in this truth for entertainment. And that's why you have the variety of different camps that the Lord set up. All right, Yahweh set up these different camps for them to be stumbling blocks, man. Because you have Israelites who are not sincere about this truth. They don't really believe in the Bible. They don't believe in Yahweh Bashim Shai. So they'll allow their leader to tell them, well, yeah, you don't have to use a name. And they're okay with that. They don't feel disgruntled about that. They don't feel like, wait, what? What did this nigga just say? You know, I don't got to call on the name. Hell no. I love the name. Nah, they don't have that attitude towards this truth, man. Why? Because they're not fully persuaded. They're not making full proof of their ministry. The scripture also say that. What is that? 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 5. It says, but watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry. You got these other camps where the members, they don't even have YouTube channels. I'm thinking of IUIC. They don't even have channels. Each individual member doesn't even have his own ministry. How does that work? How are you making full proof of your ministry as a prophet, as a believer, as a teacher, as an apostle, and you don't even go out on the highways and byways and teach? You don't even do lessons. You're not feeding the flock. Didn't Yahweh Shai tell that to Peter? If you love me, feed my sheep. These things, you won't do all of these things unless you're fully persuaded. A man that's convicted in his spirit that he knows this is the truth, he's going to have a certain fear for Yahweh Bashim Shai, man. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. When you go into that word fear, or either it's fear or it's trembling in the Greek, I don't remember the exact Greek word, but under the definition, it says one who distrusts his own ability to meet all requirements, but does his utmost to still do it. And basically what that means is what Yahweh Shai said, the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. So we know that in the flesh, we're nothing. All right. We can't do anything without Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. But we still try, man. We still give a sincere, honest effort. And when we fall short, we understand and we believe that our chief priest, our high chief priest, Yahushai, who's sitting at the right hand of the Father, he's making intercession for the elect daily. Just as the priests would, you know, back then under the Levitical priesthood. They will make the sacrifices for the people and make intercession for the Most High Yahweh to forgive the sins of the people. So now we're in the same predicament, except we don't have a priesthood. We don't have a Levitical priesthood, should I say. We're under the priesthood of Melchizedek, which is Yahushai. And through that, yeah, we make spiritual sacrifices. We do lessons. You know, we be brotherly. Pay your tithes. Come to camp. All right, all these things, the Lord is considering these things, man. And a man that's not fully persuaded, he's not going to accomplish all these things. Maybe he might do videos, but he only does one video a week or one video a month. That's not enough. That's not sufficient, man. You heard through the spirit, through the leadership, all right, through order, because everything must be done in decency and in order. The Apostle Elder Tahar said 3 videos a week, bare minimum. All right, camp, it also counts, man. You got to go to camp. If you have a midweek camp in your city, state, or whatever in your camp, you go to the midweek camp if you can. These things is basically showing that you fully persuaded. You're trying to fulfill, like it says, to cause a thing to be shown to the full. All right, you're trying to do it to the maximum, basically. You're at your maximum potential because you really believe. It said, how shall they call on him except they believe? Or whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Does that mean that any Israelite that says Yahweh Shemel Washai is going to make it? No. Matthew the 7th chapter. Not all that say Lord, Lord shall enter the kingdom of heaven. You got to be doing the will of Yahweh Shemel Washai, which is this truth. And you got to be doing it with a sincere, honest heart, which is your mind, really. Which means what? You fully persuaded, you really believe. You're going to have people that don't believe and they're going to try to call on those names. And right now, they're not even trying to use the names. Right? But when all hell breaks loose, when tribulation come upon them, when persecution comes upon them, right? That's when they want to use a name in their affliction, when they're afflicted. But they don't praise Yahweh Shemel Shah on a daily basis. No, the elect shall praise his holy name. The scriptures are plain, man. If you don't believe in 100% of what the scriptures say, you're going to have holes in your doctrine, in your ministry. All right? You're going to have holes. And when you're teaching certain things, it's not going to measure up and add up, man. It's not going to make any sense. You see, you're going to have contradictions in your doctrine. All right? So, yeah, you got to be fully persuaded, man. That's really the point. Knowing of whom thou hast learned these things. Let me get that too. In 2 Timothy chapter 3, basically, you'll be like the next Al-Azhar, you know, the next, all of these fallout guys, man. All of these reprobate dudes that's getting exposed, and the Lord is basically spewing them out. Because that is also a part of being on fire, is being fully persuaded. You can't be on fire unless you're fully persuaded. You'll be lukewarm, which is basically half-assed. It just said to make bring something to its fullness. That's what being fully persuaded means, man. It means 100%. And if you're saying we don't have 100%, then what do you have? You have 99%, 98%? What's the other 1 or 2%? Is it lies? If you don't have 100% truth, what is the other percent of what you don't have? Where is it? Who has it? It doesn't exist, or you just don't have it. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 14. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and has been assured of. Let's see what that word assured means. Real quick. Assured.
Strong's G 4104 Pistao. Pistao.
Which means to make faithful, render trustworthy, to make firm. Another word for endure is to be made hard. That's to be made firm. All right, established. The scriptures speak about being rooted in Yahushua, man. If you have a tree that's not established, that's not rooted in the soil, once a storm comes, you know, some wind, some rain, that tree gets uprooted. We don't want to be uprooted in this truth. You're supposed to, when you come into this thing, you're supposed to be in it for the long haul. All right, this is not a short-term investment, man. This is a long-term investment in which you're going to put all your eggs in one basket. You will. All right, you're gonna basically you're gonna stack all your chips on this truth, because you know with certainty 100%, 144,000%, you know that you're gonna get your return on investment on this one. All right, there's no doubts here, man. There's no plan B's. To be firmly persuaded of, to be assured of. See? So you have to be firm. You can't be wavering. You can't be like the scriptures say, where every wind of doctrine, where you got these leaders of these other camps and they changing their doctrine every couple months. And so those people, they're being exposed to show that they're not fully persuaded. Because if you're fully persuaded, that means it won't change, man. That means it's fixated, it's firm, it's rooted. You don't see trees moving around. Well, yeah, you know, I'm just going to migrate over here. You got trees that have been in the same spot for thousands of years, man. And those trees are not going nowhere. All right, they don't move. They keep getting deeper and deeper and more rooted and more persuaded, so to speak. Because, yeah, men are compared to as trees in the scriptures, man. That's a metaphor. All right, a parable. Men are like trees. So a tree has to be well rooted, well nurtured, and you know, maintained in order for it to grow good fruit. And it takes time too. You can't rush things, man. In this truth, you can't rush it. You can't try to be seeking the preeminence, trying to be so deep. Let the Lord water you. What did Apostle Paul say? He said, I planted the seed, Apollos watered, but the Most High giveth the increase. YAHWH is the one that increases you in your spirit. And that's the thing of patience, which means to suffer. If you don't really believe in something, if you're not persuaded, you don't want to suffer for it. All right, that's a true ultimate testament of faith, man. It's suffering, catching hell, catching afflictions. Catching hell, going through afflictions, man. That's when you really know somebody believes, and that's why the Lord puts us that through the trial, for the trial of our faith, man. He puts us in the furnace of adversity. You see, that's how we're being refined, that's how we're being tried, and that's how our faith is being shown to YAHWH. You might be going through something during the week. You still come to camp. Things might be great for you this week. You might be super up. You still come to camp. You still on fire. You still in the truth 100%, giving it your all. That's what the Lord wants to see. That YAHWH is not accepting nothing less, man. Because faith is a black and white thing. It ain't no fucking spectrum of faith. Even though you have levels of faith, you got brothers that got more faith than others, but it's not a spectrum. It's not a thing of, oh, you got this guy, he basically got little to no faith. Nah, man. Faith is faith, point blank, period. 100% or nothing. You see? And that's why the scriptures say that you cannot please YAHWH without faith. The just shall live by their faith. All these scriptures about faith and belief, man, that's all the Lord is accepting. He's not accepting unbelievers. The unbelievers are going to be destroyed according to Revelation 21:18. So you better make sure when you come into this thing, man, you better make sure you fully understand it. All right. And you better make sure you come in under the right leadership, because like it just said, but continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and has been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them. But you must remain faithful to the things you have been taught. You know they are true, for you can trust those who taught you. You see, and that's not putting trust. You see, so meaning what? You're fully persuaded. You understand that these are the men of the Lord. These are the servants of YAHWH. These are the prophets and the apostles coming back in the reincarnation. And these are the men I need to follow according to 1 Corinthians 11:1. All right, follow me even as I follow YAHWH. That's what the Apostle Paul said. So there's nothing wrong with following men, but you got to follow the right men. And you yourself have to be fully persuaded and understanding that this man that you following, he's following YAHWH. It's like the porter for the sheep. When you got all them hundreds of sheep lining up, you know, to enter through the gate, they all can't squeeze in at once. They got to follow one behind another. So at some point, let's say the sheep all the way in the back, he doesn't necessarily see the shepherd for himself, but he just knows. He knows that the sheep in front of him is following the sheep in front of him. And ultimately the shepherd, which is YAHWH, is all the way in the front leading the sheep, the herd of sheep. And we are compared to as those sheeps, man. And the men of the Lord are like shepherds as well, meaning we're also leading the rest of the sheep. We're being led and we're also leading other men. All right, that's why they have that phrase, a good leader creates more leaders. and a good leader was once a good follower. All right, so you got to soak all of this in the spirit. All right, because like I said, man, we in the time now where our faith is going to be really tried. And that's why you got, the Lord's basically getting rid of these undesirables and weaklings and faithless individuals now, which he's not done, but the Lord is working on that now because he's getting ready to judge his house. He's getting ready to do a house cleaning amongst the Israelites, all the camps, all Israelites, man, all you Israelites that say you believe you're Hebrew Israelites. There's about to be a test coming soon, man, a big test, which is that hour temptation, which is the mark of the beast, RFID microchip implant being made mandatory. And you got guys that don't even believe that. So how you going to pass a test and you don't even believe, that this is a test? You bound to fail, man. You're not fully persuaded. So with that, I'm going to say, call haloyim, la Yahweh Bashim Awashai. Hope and pray the elect was edified through the Holy Spirit. And shalom.